Hello, this is episode number 28 of the Alfology2 podcast. So, hello and welcome. I am recording today from a log cabin in someone's back garden with, for a log cabin, surprisingly fucking good acoustics. The drawback, I guess, is that my laptop is being a little bit of a nightmare and it seems to be recording video really jumpy. So, if you're watching this on YouTube and it's jumpy, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. Hopefully it doesn't affect the audio too much. If you're listening on a podcast app, then you're actually superior anyway. So that's all good. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed last week. I realized it was a bit of a weird mishmash of ideas and it wasn't, didn't necessarily flow in the way that the podcast can. But, what are you going to do about it? I had nothing else to talk about. But this week I do have something to talk about, which is good, and I will be talking about it. So what I'm going to try and do this week is predict when, to the day, when and how the world is going to end. And obviously, as a bit of a content warning, I am going to be talking about the end of the world, right? So, fucking think about it. If you're scared of the end of the world, then don't fucking listen to the podcast. Be smart. Right? If you're the sort of person who gets upset by the end of the world and then listens to a podcast about the end of the world, then you've only got your fucking self to blame if you get upset. Capiche? Right. Anyway, let's move on. God, I'm fucking loving the acoustics in here. Normally, I'm recording from a fucking hardwood floor, fucking windows, TVs, laptops room, and I can hear the fucking sound bouncing everywhere. But this time, it sounds nice. Maybe this will help the podcast overall. I'll have to fucking rent out this log cabin once a week to come and do the podcast. Anyway, look, let's do it. End of the world. Let's get stuck in. So, this idea sort of came to me ages ago, actually. I was still at work a few months ago, or probably about a year ago now. Sat in the office. Obviously, I wasn't doing any work because, who the fuck does that? And a guy who I know, his name is Danny. If you're listening, Danny, then fucking hi. And he decided that he was going to try and scroll as far into the future on his calendar on his phone as he possibly could. And he did. He went like hundreds, maybe even thousands of years into the future. And it sort of sparked the question, how has anyone ever scrolled that far into the future on their phone? And he's probably maybe in the top 1% of all scrolls into the future. And in that, whatever day he got to, let's say he got to I don't know, May in the year 4004 or whatever. Let's say he got that far. I got to thinking, does that mean that the world, is humanity even going to exist by that year? How different is the world going to be? The chances are that humans aren't going to last another 2,000 years with all the fucking shit that's going on today. Unless it gets seriously better, we're all going to die. We're all going to die anyway, but we're all going to die soon, if that makes sense. In a matter of years. So that is the idea for this week's podcast. So look, I'll get stuck in. So the first question is: will the world end? Will humanity be wiped out from Earth? And it's Earth I'm talking about, by the way. Obviously, there's things like we could expand to Mars or other solar systems, which would be totally fucking badass. But let's be realistic for now. We're talking about humanity, life on Earth, our home planet. Is that going to end? Look, yes, obviously it will at some point because 5 billion years in the future, the sun is going to explode and envelop the Earth anyway. So that would probably almost definitely kill everybody who was there at the time. So yes, it is definitely going to end, which is a shame. It is a shame because the world is pretty cool. I fucking like this planet. It's pretty badass, you've only got to go to different places, and see the nature, and go to sea or go to Australia or go to South America, and you can see fucking awesome stuff, and that's pretty cool. So it's going to be sad when this world ends, but it will. When will the world end? People have tried to predict that before, haven't they? There's been failed attempts to predict it, like Nostradamus. I can't remember when he said it was going to end. But he did say it, didn't he? And then it didn't. And then you've got the film 2012, which was based on the Mayan calendar. And the Mayan calendar just ended at that point. It didn't say the world was going to end. the Mayan calendar just stopped at 2012, probably because they just couldn't be fucking bothered to go into the future anymore. The film 2012 is fucking shit, by the way, but basically it's about the world supposed to end in the year 2012. But look, it didn't. 2012, it was a good year. Think about how much better life was in 2012 than it is now. No fucking Brexit or Trump or, climate change wasn't so bad either. So, 2012 was grand. And now it's fucking shit. But maybe the world should have ended in 2012. But it didn't. So there's been a few failed attempts to predict the end of the world in the past. So look, not much optimism from my part, but you never know, I might get it right. And I'm going to predict to the day. Look, the question is not sort of will it end, it's when will it end, and will it end soon? I think maybe it might end soon. There's a lot of threats to the world right now. There's a lot of things that could end the world. And so we'll discuss those first. That'll be the first part of this podcast, will be to discuss how the world might end, what might kill everybody. And it's a pretty scary thought. I'm not really that scared myself because, I'd be dead, so I don't really care. And even if I wasn't dead, even if I was the only survivor, I reckon I'd make my peace with it. If everybody else was dead, I think, that's really sad, and I'd be like fucking gutted and like really traumatized. But I reckon I'd, a few years, and I'd probably get over it. I'd probably come to terms with the fact that everybody was dead. As long as, I'd much prefer, if the world is going to end, I would prefer everyone to die apart from me than just for everyone to die. I'd rather survive for a little bit longer. That might sound fairly weird. People might not agree with that, but I would rather be the last remaining human than be part of all the other humans who die. Don't know how you feel about that. Anyway, let's go on to the reasons why the world's going to end. Number one, first reason why the world could end is climate change. And obviously the planet will still be here. I'm not talking about the destruction of planet Earth. I'm just talking about the cessation of human life and the cessation of human life as we know it. Look, lots of extreme weather. We've already experienced extreme weather. There's fucking New South Wales in Australia is on fire. Britain's underwater. There was a fucking super typhoon in Japan recently. Extreme weather is going to happen. It's already happening. Droughts and floods, depending on what part of the world you're in. You're either in a drought or a flood, which is going to create, probably wars over immigration and resources. And shit could go seriously wrong with climate change unless we fucking sort our shit out. But look, that's one possibility of how the world could end. But will it be the way that it's going to end? Then, well, I'll get to that in a bit. I'm going to pick a way which is the world is going to end. I'll just go through them first. So climate change is number one. Number two is war. So war sort of feeds into climate change because it's quite likely that a war would arise from that. So, because of resources and all that stuff, just mentioned, like I mentioned a minute ago. So like big nuclear holocaust, everyone dies. The earth gets polluted by nuclear waste. And that could happen because governments are crazy. Trump is pretty fucking crazy. Maybe not crazy. Like Trump is impulsive and thin-skinned. So he could very easily get upset one day and just decide to wipe everybody off the face of the planet because someone said that his face is stupidly orange. You got the Chinese, they're pretty fucking forthright. If someone really pissed them off. The fucking Russians seems to be pretty unhinged. So you've got lots of superpowers out there with some serious fucking problems, some thin-skinned leaders having a big dick measuring contest. And, at the end of that dick measuring contest, then someone could say, well, I'll show you how fucking big my dick is and I'll wipe humanity off the face of the earth. It could happen, but I don't think it will. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. If you get me? Because there was a lot of dick measuring contests during the Cold War. You had two big superpowers with lots of nukes fucking standing off against each other for years. If there was going to be a huge nuclear war, probably would have happened already. That being said, fucking Trump wasn't the leader of the US in the Cold War, was he? So maybe he would have wiped everybody off the face. Look, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think war is the one. The next one is aliens. You never know with aliens, do you? There's several things about aliens. Did they build the pyramids in Stonehenge? Almost definitely. Conspiracy. Yeah, look, they could come at any time. Do they exist, aliens? Look, it's the funny thing with aliens, right? because we're the only planet where we know there is life, there's two very equal debates about aliens. Either we are totally unique and it's just pure chance that life exists here. Pure chance, just one. It's a complete fucking fluke that life managed to happen here, and we're the only thing in the universe. And that is possible because, flukes do happen. Some things are a one in a kind, like me and this podcast, one in a kind. Or the fact that it has happened here means it must have happened somewhere else. But the fact that there's only one set of life that we know about, and that's here on Earth, means you can't prove it either way. If we found life on, one other planet, then that would massively increase the likelihood of aliens all over the universe, if that makes sense. So, look, who knows about aliens? But if they do invade full Independence Day style, it could happen at any time, which makes it fucking difficult for this podcast to predict when it's going to happen. I think personally that we will encounter alien life if we haven't already, probably in the next 30 odd years, just because of the advancement in space technology and our communications with outer space. I just think we're more likely to encounter intelligent life or be able to see it on another planet in another solar system. That's my personal opinion. It's not backed up by any facts, so we'll move swiftly on. Look, aliens could come and destroy humanity, but fucking unlikely, isn't it? Even if they did come here, they probably want to learn from us or chat to us or experiment on us a little bit first. Very unlikely they just come and wipe us out straight away. That being said, colonialism has been a problem in the past with people getting wiped out, so who knows? Anyway, next on the list is machines rising up and killing everybody. So AI taking over and using machinery to wipe out the human race, probably for the good of the planet. That's often the plot of films and books, isn't it? Like Age of Ultron or whatever, that the machines have realized that humanity is corrupt because the AI has got so advanced, and then they decide that we need to be killed for the sake of the planet. And you never know that might happen. I actually think that that's the most likely. It happens in a lot of films, it happens in a lot of sci-fi, but in reality, that is something that genuinely could happen. Like iRobot or Terminator, but we'll get onto those films in a bit. So, yeah, machines are the most likely, I think, to wipe out the Earth, or at least wipe out the Earth before the other ones do. Aliens are unreliable, so you can't tell when aliens are going to turn up, if at all. So aliens, definitely not what I'm going to go with. I think war would have happened already. If we were going to get wiped out by a war, that would have already happened in the 60s and 70s, during the Cold War, during the nuclear arms race, all that sort of stuff. And I think probably climate change, while it is fucking scary, I think we'll sort it out. I think that technology and focus, that we focus on it, and I think that will sort it out. It's a big problem facing mankind. I think that humans are clever enough to sort the problem out. There's things like hydrogen energy at the moment, which is a huge thing to power cars and things anymore. So basically what you do is you split hydrogen out of water, which I think they do using wind farms, I'm not sure. So you split the hydrogen out of the H2O in water. Obviously, the byproduct of that is oxygen, which we love. Fucking everyone loves oxygen. And you then power the hydrogen. And when you burn a hydrogen in your car, in your engine, in your fucking fuel tank in your back garden, it oxidizes it and it becomes H2O again. So it just becomes water vapor, which, that's fucking badass. I don't know about the science behind that, but it sounds like it's true, doesn't it? I guess someone mentioned this to me the other day. Fucking cool thing, well, not cool, would be pretty fucking shitty, but coolish thing would be that if we solve climate change through hydrogen and oxygen, splitting out of water and then burning it, and it puts water back into the atmosphere, that we could end up in a situation like 200 years time where we burn so much hydrogen, there's so much water vapor in the air that there's so much precipitation. Is that the word? Precipitation? Like rain. There's so much rain that then becomes the new climate change, and then we have to deal with that problem. We'll probably do it by fucking burning stuff. It's a cool thing. Anyway, that's not the point. We'll move fucking swiftly on. So, machines rising. That's what we're going to. I think we're all going to be wiped out by the machines. And, it might not be such a bad thing because machines probably are pretty fucking sensible once they get into it. So, it's not an original idea that machines wiping out the Earth. There's been some incorrect predictions in the past as to when machines are going to take over the Earth, particularly in films. So, iRobot. I think iRobot's supposed to happen in 2031. I think. So in 2031, we've all got robot assistants and they all rise up and kill us. Spoiler alert, that's what happens in iRobot. So yeah, look, I think that one's going to be wrong. I don't think 2031 is very realistic. The problem is with like setting a date for these films is that the films then look really fucking stupid if they're wrong. Like Blade Runner, I think Blade Runner is set in 2019, I think. Like that, a lot of that is wrong. There's all sorts of films set in the future which haven't got it quite right. iRobot looks like it's going to be wrong, but you never know. Alexa and fucking Google Home might become iRobots. Who knows? It might fucking happen. The other one was Terminator. Terminator is fucking famous for being a little bit lax with how time travel works and how times work. I don't actually know the date at which Skynet take over in Terminator, so I'll just Google it now. By the way, fucking spoiler alert, in Terminator, the machines rise up and kill everybody, and they start a war with the humans, and then they send robots back in time to try and kill humans who are important when they're kids. That's essentially the plot of Terminator. Hold on, I'll just see when it says Skynet takeover. Speaking of which, whilst I'm Googling this, did you know that there's an actual UK government military defense project called Skynet? And like, what? Is the Terminator fucking coming true? I fucking hope so. It'd be so cool to get killed by a Terminator. I'd love to get killed by Arnie. Yeah, so 2029 is when the Terminators get sent back from, if that makes sense. Yeah, so in 2029, the Terminator, James Cameron, thinks that robots will be ruling the world and time travel will be possible. So that's pretty fucking mental, isn't it? Look, I think that one's wrong too. I also don't think that time travel is possible at all, really. So there is that. Two films that I think have got it wrong, but you never know. They might hit the nail on the head. I actually think 2029. It seems to be around the 2030 mark, doesn't it? Look, I don't think that's right. I think it's probably going to be closer to 2050 or pushing that way. That's my initial thought. I don't think it'll be within the next 10 years that the machines are going to rise up and kill everybody. So look, we have to look at why the machines are going to rise up and how the machines are going to get to the point where they're so clever to do so. So recently, Google have done this cool thing with what's called a quantum computer. I don't really know what that means. I think it's like most computers are zeros and ones, as you'll know, like binary code. So every computer answers a question with like a yes or no, like a 0 or a 1. And that's how it makes all the decisions and does all the calculations. This quantum computer is it's based on quantum physics. So it has everything in a state of being both 0 and 1 at the same time, which increases the number of calculations it can do at once. That's basically what I think it is. It's in a permanent quantum superposition, if that means anything to you. And recently, Google have built a quantum computer which did a sum which would take a normal computer 10,000 years in like fucking 10 seconds or something. So that's quantum computers are going to be seriously fucking clever. And people always say, oh, the greatest computer is going to be the human mind. Quantum computers are going to blow that fucking shit out of the water. They're going to be so much cleverer than us and so much better than us. If you tie that in with AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, then those machines are going to get really fucking clever and really fucking powerful in a very short space of time. And you never know, they might just think, fuck it, let's kill these cunts who made us. It's like getting bitten by your dog. Getting savaged by your own dog, not very nice, but it could fucking happen. So, make sure they're well trained. So there's a big debate about it. And I think I've watched a TED Talk. I think it was a TED Talk about consciousness. And are machines conscious? Can they be conscious? And is consciousness a thing that machines can achieve? I don't know, is the answer. Consciousness is quite a complicated thing. So in the past, people would talk about brains like they are like machines. And I mean like actual machines, like a steam engine or a clock or something with cogs that turn around. Because back in the 1800s, that was the modern technology. So people base the brain on modern technology. So that's why you hear like the cogs working in your brain. That's where that phrase comes from. And now, because technology is advanced, people think of brains like computers. But really, I don't know if they are. I don't know if a neuron works in the same way as a computer does. I don't know if machines are capable of what neurons are capable of, and therefore are capable of consciousness or free will or any of those. I don't know if that's true, but it might be. That's all I've got on that. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a computer technician. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know if computers are like brains and if they're capable of it. But if they are, there's a full fucking potential that they're going to kill us all, which, would be grand. Yeah, so if they do rise up, we're fucked because they'd have like access to all the machinery. Your fucking microwave would attack you. Imagine getting killed by your microwave, which was as part of some sort of global rebellion. Or, I don't know, your kettle fucking shoots hot water at you. Or your fridge locks you in. How fucking horrible would that be? I thought the fridge was my fucking friend, man. I spent so much time with the fridge in the past. I thought we were bros, and then you get killed by your fridge because AI is taken over. And fucking with 5G, everything's going to be hooked up to the internet. So, we're all going to die. And there's this cool theory that, so you might not think that cyborgs exist. And the traditional cyborg is like a man with a robotic arm or a chip in your brain, to control you. That's what a cyborg is. Half man, half machine. But instead of like attaching, machines like or putting them in you, like putting a chip in your brain, what we've done is we've put our brains into chips. And I don't mean like potato chips, I mean computer chips. So we put our brains into chips, which live in our phones. So we've basically downloaded our brains into our phone. If your mobile phone in the Western world is like the most personal thing there is to you because it contains all of your thoughts. It contains pictures of you, probably compromising pictures of you. It contains what you think about politics, what you think about love, who your closest connections are, what your desires are, what your sexual desires are, what your hopes and dreams are, what your political opinions are. All of it exists inside your phones. We've basically downloaded ourselves into our phones, and our phone lives in our hand, and that is how we are now cyborgs. And if machines were to get so clever that they could take over, if you had a quantum computer in your phone and it decided to fucking get conscious and take you over, then it knows everything about you. The internet knows pretty much everything about you if you have a mobile phone and you use it in 2019. That's the truth. And in the future, that's going to be so much more powerful. There's going to be so much more information in there that if they choose to use it against us, even if they didn't choose to kill us, even if machines decided to go on strike or to just publish all the information in your phone out there, humanity as we know it would collapse so fucking quickly. Like, we wouldn't die, but our society would collapse if phones decided to go on strike tomorrow. If they wanted, more rights for phones and they just went, no, we're not going to work today. Imagine how fucking shit your life would be. You wouldn't be able to contact anybody. I'm on the other side of the world from home at the moment. If my phone decided to give it up, I'd have no way of getting home. I'd have no way of speaking to anybody from home. I'd have no way of applying for a job. I'd have no way of doing the podcast, which would be a fucking shame. And that is how quickly that, if a machine learning conscious phone decided to turn against you, that is how quickly it could fucking ruin your life. And but right now, that's not a problem. Like, your phone right now isn't going to rise up against you. Machines right now aren't clever enough to take on the human race because we just fucking switched them off. That's how easy it would be. But there's something called Moore's Law. And Moore's Law applies to transistors and chips. So it's based in the 70s that basically he realized that the number of transistors in microchips was doubling every 2 years. So machines were getting twice as powerful every 2 years. That's the essential law. And that's how the law applies today. It's not to do with transistors. It's to do with technology, that things get half as big, half the price, or twice as powerful every 2 years or 18 months, it might be. That's Moore's law. So basically, computing gets exponentially more powerful as time goes on. And obviously, you don't have to be a fucking genius to think like into the future how fucking powerful those machines are going to be. If you compare 1999 to now, it's fucking nuts. People were amazed by email in 1999. In 1999, I was 4, right? And I know I fucking look old, don't I? But I was 4 in 1999, and we had a computer at home that if you were using Microsoft Word, which was green, by the way, Microsoft Word was green, the background of it. If you were to type, you had every 5 seconds it would refresh and new words would appear on your screen. So if you made a typo, you wouldn't realize till 5 seconds later. That was fucking my computer in 1999. If you look at it now, I'm sat here with a fucking MacBook in front of me, recording something to send all around the world. There are listeners to this podcast in 18 different countries. And I'll fucking ping it around the world this evening. How fucking nuts is that? Pretty fucking nuts is the answer. So look, all you have to do is consider if you double it and double it and double it, and you make the equivalent changes but exponential from 1999 to now, and then from 2019 to say 2040. Think how fucking mad it's going to be there. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Machines are going to be so powerful. AI is going to be so clever. And that is why I think 2040 is going to be the year of the rise. So let's say, for the argument of this podcast, we're finally getting to the point, the world is going to end in 2040. But I didn't tell you that I was going to get the year. I told you I was going to get the exact date. And here we get to the nub of it. I think it will be summer. Right? I think it will be some sort of time in summer, midsummer. And I'm talking about this from a Northern European perspective, because that is where, or Northern European, Northern Hemisphere perspective, because the majority of the human race lives in the Northern Hemisphere. So, and Northern Hemisphere has their summer in sort of like June, July, August time. So USA, Europe, big chunks of Asia are in the Northern Hemisphere. And that is when I think, where the machines we were initially looking to target, because also it's the most technology dependent place in the world. So summer 2040, we're talking. I'm going to say midsummer. I'm going to say July. The reason why I'm saying summer is because it's going to be hot. Obviously, climate change is going to be fucking running rampant by then. So it's going to be really fucking hot in summer, which means that humans will be less likely to resist. There's going to be less likely to be any rain, which is good for machines. If rain gets in a circuit, it's going to fuck it all up. And, who's ever seen a computer use an umbrella? No one. So I think it'll be midsummer, weather dependent, July. We're going to, the machines are going to take over in a hot July where there's no rain. But I didn't say just a month. I told you the exact date. They're going to try and do it when people are at their poorest. They don't want people to have money or resources to be able to collaborate. So what I'm going to say is that they're going to go towards the end of the month, just before payday. You don't want people with a full bank account when you try and take over the world. Gives them much more chance to fight back against you. So towards the end of July 2040. When is payday? Payday for most people is the last day of the month or the first day of the next month. For most people, but that's not the same for everybody. Some people, a lot of people, get paid the last Friday of the month. So the date that I'm picking is the last Thursday, i.e. when people will, on average, be at their poorest in July 2040. So that I've scrolled into the future on my calendar. The last Thursday of July is the 26th of July 2040. That is when I think the machines will rise. But obviously, the machines aren't going to wipe everybody out in one day. There's going to be a lot of people in the world by then, probably about 10 billion. So it's worth it to them to methodically kill everybody. Don't try and do it all in one day. I reckon it'll take about 3 days for the machines to wipe us out. So there we have it. The world is going to end on the 29th of July 2040, and it's going to end by the machines rising up. Terminator or iRobot is going to happen, and it's going to happen on the 26th of July 2019 and 2040, and everybody will be dead by the 29th. So set it in your calendars. If you have a holiday planned for August 2040, fucking bring it a bit closer to now. Change your flights. Book it for July, early July. Because otherwise the world's all going to fucking die out, isn't it? Put it in your calendar. I put it in my calendar. 26th of July 2040, there's going to be a rising. 29th, we'll all be dead. Fucking sort your life out before then and have a good time, because otherwise you're going to be killed by a machine and you're going to have wasted your life. That'll be pretty much all from me this week. Fucking nuts podcast. Pretty weird. Don't know about next week. We'll see. I won't be in this cabin next week. I'll be somewhere else. Who knows? If you like the podcast, tell someone. Please tell someone. I've had a few people get in touch and tell me that they've told people, so that's really nice of you. Listeners are picking up as time goes on, which is always nice. Follow the podcast on social media. It's always good fun to interact with people, and I do post little clips and little bits about the podcast on there. Thanks very much, and I will see you and talk to you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.